Welcome back. If you just joined us, this is The Press. We're reaching you live from KAFTAN television studio here in the nation's capital, Abuja. Now we'll go straight to analyzing the story that I read out to you earlier. My guest on the show this morning is Obadiah Mbila, CEO, Lovewalk Media. Great to have you on the show today again, sir.
Thanks for having me, and good morning, Nigerians.
Good morning to you. All right, phone lines are open. You can call in to make your contribution or ask your question. And like I always say, remember that it is 1 minute to every caller, so we give other people the opportunity to also make their contributions, and also leave your TV area so we can hear each other. All right, quite a number of stories making the rounds and all the Nigerian national dailies. But then this one, particularly with regards to budget padding, is what you will find everywhere with different perspective. Matrix newspaper says budget padding allegation tears Presidency and Senate apart. And then the writer says Presidency exonerates Tinubu, says National Assembly padded 2024 budget by 1.2 trillion naira. It is concerning that a senator can employ such primordial antics to fill divisive rhetorics coming from the presidency. And then here you have reign in those who think a crisis reading Senate would better profit them. Senate warns Ningi. Okay, so but if you look at the Nigerian Tribune, talks about the same alleged budget padding. Lawmakers set for stormy session. A Senate Appropriation Committee meets, but they keep mum. Presidency says Tinubu presented 27 trillion naira budget and not 25 trillion naira budget. What are your thoughts with regards to all of this back and forth from either the president or the presidency or the Senate?
It's been a long time ritual that follows budget debates. Usually when the president presents the budget to the National Assembly, it is left on their table to think over it, and then sometimes do some panel beating, and some of these processes leads to what you now call budget padding. For instance, an NDA will come forward to make a presentation or defense of what has been captured in the budget, and then of course the committee discovered that what was provided for them was either higher or lower. In that case, there's need to do some readjustment. This process can lead to cutting from one particular item to another. It can also be a window from where the members of the committee can find a leeway to put in what they feel.
When you're talking about a committee, you mean those in National Assembly?
Of course.
Okay.
You know, and sometimes also, you may not believe this, but it happens. Even those who prepared the budget may, after the preparation of the budget, remember that they needed to do A, B, C, D. And then they come through the back door, liaise with the members of the National Assembly, in this case, either the House Committee or the Senate Committee.
So how do they get a refund?
No. It's not about refund. It's about capturing what may profit the one that is inserting the item in the budget. Take, for instance, you have a company that handles rural electrifications, and then of course it was not captured in the distance, and I need to somehow either compensate you or do some favor to you, or I need money. I'm the presidency, or I'm in an NDA and need some money, and the only way the money can reach me is through a contractor.
Okay. So
the contractor cannot take the money from the blues. It must be captured in the budget. When the project is finally released, then I will be hoping that by the time he executes the project, something is there for me.
Okay.
Now the process is too rigorous that unless you have been involved, you may not know the actual meaning of budget padding. And remember, it's not a new thing. It's just that when the lead blows and everyone start running hector-scatter, there's never been one that was as scandalous as the one in 2004, I think, 2004, involving the Minister of Education, then Professor Fabian Osuji, and then the Chairman Committee on Education, then Senator Adigije, and of course the Senate President, Senator Wabara. You understand? It was this hula baloo that finally led to the backward exit of the Senate President. So budget padding has become an annual ritual. You can only hear it when it did not favor one group or the other. But when everyone has been taken care of, you may not hear the noise that is coming up now.
So regardless of the administration or the government in power, there must be the story about budget padding.
There is no way you can escape it. It's always there. You know, the appropriation committee, I'm happy they said they kept mum, because there's no way they can sneak this thing into the document without the appropriation committee. It must come through from the appropriation committee.
Okay.
Now, in this particular case, you would be sure that certain interests were not adequately captured. So that's the reason for the noise.
All right, let's quickly take this call from Elder Zion. Hello, good morning, Elder Zion.
Hello.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Elder Zion.
Good. Thank you very much. How was your weekend?
Very well, thank you, sir.
So we are still discussing on the insecurity situation in the country.
All right, go ahead, sir.
And that is still getting worse. Just last week alone, 3 states were invaded, and 2 children and the women were taken away. And nothing have happened up to today. Then you start to question the claim by the army last week, or getting to 2 weeks now, that they eliminated over 900 bandits and the kidnappers nationwide. Then they rescued 600 and they captured over 700. Then you start to question the veracity of that claim. Now, where are the photographs? Where are the videos? How will Nigerians believe when you cannot show clear evidence on what you did? So when we are still contemplating on that, this kidnapping took place, and in one of the schools, they kidnapped 280 school children and their teachers. And the coming post to that place is 35 kilometers. So for the whole hours they took, nobody came to rescue those children. So you see, Nigerians are not happy. We can remember to follow that dictate the appointment of this current security chief and the inspector general of police. If they cannot do their work very well, let them resign.
All right.
The president should kick them out and appoint other people. Thank you. God bless you.
God bless you too, Elder Zion. Thank you so much. I think Elder Zion is, most times if he's not watching his TV, he just wants to take his own headline.
Yes. Of course, from the angle as he's coming from, it has become a daily headline, you know, talking about insecurity. And I would have been surprised if we finished today's analysis.
And we don't talk about that. Most definitely we'll go to insecurity, but let's just finish on this budget padding. Okay. Vanguard newspaper says National Assembly padded 2024 budget by 1.2 trillion naira, not Tinubu, and this is coming from the presidency. So you're just wondering why is it now between the president, the presidency, and then the National Assembly, and then it is the presidency that is now speaking for the president, that he's not the one that padded it. It is the National Assembly.
Yeah, like as I've told you, the budget padding has become an annual ritual. It must come. When you didn't hear or it didn't make headlines, it simply means everyone have had a tap at the back, and therefore nobody is shouting. And where I am not well represented or my interest well captured, then I start singing like parrots, and people will hear and begin to ask, why pardon this thing? But pardoning, like as I've said, is something that you must expect it. It is a must. At a stage in the life of the administration of President Obasanjo, he had insisted that the budget that he presented to the National Assembly was for their constitutional approval, not for debate or padding and so on and so forth. And then I think the presiding officer then reminded him that the National Assembly is not a rubber stamp that can only place their stamp on whatever the presidency approved, that they must scrutinize the budget to the satisfaction of every member. Besides, it is their duty to make sure that if allocations are given to southeast more than northeast, or south-south more than north-central, the National Assembly's duty is to make sure that there is a balancing, because during the debate on the general principle of the budget, the members will come with what has been captured and how their zone was either neglected or what was more important to them was not captured. So this is part of the process of the debate that must last, so that everyone will be satisfied that your zone or your area has been captured. In the national budget.
All right.
At the end, the issue of padding must certainly come, because what the presidency would have presented may have favored one zone and then disfavored the other zone. So in an effort to make sure.
Is that the reason why? Because in most of the papers I also say, talking about that the, let's see from Nation newspaper says, presidency slams senator over budget padding claim. It is divisive antics to achieve primordial ends. 3 North senators kick as they say that it is anti-North.
Yeah, you know, I'm becoming sick of this anti-North all the time. I keep wondering, is it just the North that constitutes the entire interest of the Federation? How come that our brothers and sisters in the North do not see when other zones have been placed in a very serious disadvantage and then shout? This, for me, is how to build a federation. If I am from the North, for an example, and I see that there is some level of marginalization against the South-South, then I will raise my voice. That's why I like this Kaduna senator. He is not just looking for what comes from his zone, but once he sees that something is going wrong in another zone, he will shout. So those are brothers in the North who, each time they want to score cheap popularity, cheap.
Is that what you see it as?
Come again?
Is that what you see it as cheap?
Oh, for me, yeah,
popularity.
Yeah, because you know, when you say North, you are talking of 19 states of the Federation. That's the majority of the
yes, the majority
of the voting population. And if the majority sees Mbila as speaking for them, you know how popular I will become. And those who employ this, usually their unspoken motive is to make themselves look like the hero of the North. Whether you see it that way or not, that's what it is. So if you feel that a particular interest that's supposed to be captured in budget was not well captured, must you generalize it to be anti-North? Why not single out that particular item and say this item is supposed to handle the Shiroro Dam thing or Mbila power project and so on and so forth? And then when you itemize it, you discover that it is not a northern issue. It is a state issue.
Okay.
In this case, instead of talking about what concerns Taraba State or what concerns Jigawa State, they now generalize it to be anti-North or to be a North problem. This ought not to be so. If the budget did not favor North Central, which sometimes North Central also has been at the receiving end, I must say, just like Southeast or South-South. So why not come out and say, look, the budget does not favor North Central. Look at what was allocated to so project in North Central. Look at what was allocated to Northwest. And you can see the disparity. Therefore, the gap must be closed.
All right.
It makes for constructive argument.
I accept. Okay, so let's move straight to other stories very quickly if you can help us. This one says, the Vanguard newspaper says, my husband determined to fix current challenges. And that's coming from Senator Oluremi Tinubu. And if you remember, after the inauguration and so many statements that she made with regards to how her family can feed well and feed large without touching Nigerians' money, but then later on Nigerians came out with the clapback and response on and off social media spaces, saying that you say your husband and you and your family can deal without touching Nigerians' money, but then how come some of this budget, some of the monies budgeted are sent to the office of the First Lady, that for vehicle or for one thing or the other? And then recall a few weeks ago, the Emir of Kano told her to go and tell her husband that Nigerians are suffering. And I remember asking if he needs to be told if he's not if he's not seeing what is happening. But now she's coming back again to say that her husband is determined to fix Nigeria's problem. Do you see this as what? Let's start with your thoughts on this first.
Well, you know, the office of the presidency is a larger-than-life office. It would have been a statement made in a haste from someone who is itching towards gaining the vote of the people so that they can get into the office. Otherwise, I have said this even here in this studio, that President Trump, for instance, is richer than Tinubu, maybe 20, 30 times. But he cannot say that he's going to the White House to manage affairs of the United States of America from his own purse because he's rich. He can't say that. The office is usually bigger than a man. Having said that, I have not actually seen the president as one that is truly feeling the pulse of the people, of the commoners, of the masses. I say this in view of the fact that ever since he gets into the office, he appears to have condoned himself with praise singers who only see the areas they need to benefit from, not so much the areas that he needs to work and improve on. Take for instance, President Obasanjo usually leave his comfort zone and walk in the street, disguising himself. Go to the supermarket to buy things, probably not that the things he needed them, but to also interact and feel the people. I
remember that then they always say, why is this Baba always being the one to go and... They called him names, but nobody saw the reason why he was doing that.
He was not doing that because he needed something from the supermarket.
Or because he was stingy.
That his aides cannot buy for him. People did not even know that President Obasanjo had some special aides who tells him the truth. It has been said that Mr. Stanley Makebu, one time editor of the Guardian newspaper, who was his aide, unnamed office, but the man was going to the people, to the street, to the bar, to feel the pulse of the people and come back to President Obasanjo and look at him eyeball to eyeball. People are complaining. People are saying A, B, C, D. So he will gather this thing. He also gathered from the praise singers. So President Obasanjo was able to decipher between what the people are saying and what the praise singers are saying. He knows the praise singers. He also knows those that are telling him the truth. But here, in the case of our dear president, we find a common trend where the present singers have taken over. For instance, during Obasanjo's tenure, there was a case I can remember when his first son flew from Abuja to Lagos with a presidential jet, and he made an open rebuke that it wasn't for the family, it was for the presidency. But can you tell me that the president, Tinubu, who traveled to Qatar with his 2 children, can do that? Can he somewhat correct to do that? The answer is no.
I also remember one time when former President Obasanjo had one issue with his wife with regards to estates and all, and then came out publicly to talk about it. And then if you remember, people just said, okay, his Baba is just a general and he's showing the general part, and then some other persons will come out to say, oh please, that's just eye service. So
not really. You see, no matter how people look at President Obasanjo, he is of the Puritan tradition, always aiming at doing it right. He may also, in the process of trying to do it right, get it wrong at the same time. He is a human, and people should not see him as almighty. For me, he meant to do good for this country. He may, in the process, have matched, stepped, inflicted injury on so many toes. But I have never seen one man that is as sincere in doing corrections, taking corrective measures. What people began to scream and shout about restructuring, they didn't say it during his time. Why? Because he deliberately was taking a restructured step in order to right the wrongs of yesterday. Don't forget that Obasanjo's choice of minister did not follow the traditional way of saying, look, this one must go to Northwest. They have always had this. This one must go to Southwest because they have always had that. What the hell is that? Is there any way it is written in that is sacrosanct that anyone that takes this from Northwest have failed Nigerian? So Obasanjo went out of his way to make sure that if you say this one belongs to Northwest, he will give it to Northeast. He will just give it to Northeast, let the heaven fall. And after doing it, this issue of anti-North began to rear its head. The issue of Sharia also came on board in order to make sure that they use it to checkmate him. And he knew that that Sharia was not about their love for Islam or their willingness to promote Islam in Nigeria. No, he called it political Sharia because he knew that it wasn't for the good of the religion. It was for the political gain of some of those few who were promoting it. And unfortunately, those who were promoting it as a wager or as an obstacle against Obasanjo are the ones that are promoting the present administration. And so, when they started again with Muslim, people like Obasanjo smiled because they knew it wasn't that they love Muslims more. The Christians were already agitating. Muslim, they want to Islamize this country. Who will Islamize the country? Are they interested in Islamizing the country? They are interested in their post. They are interested in their political advancement. And so if they can take advantage of Islam to advance their political interests, they'll do it.
All right. Let's leave that story and move straight to insecurity. And Daily Trust says parents of abducted Kaduna students cry out for help. Says we have watched bandits shepherd our kids to the bush. Escapees recounts near-death experience. My brother shot dead in trying to save his siblings. Quite a number of sad news around there. And then still on insecurity, so I'm trying to check for where I actually saw that story. and that actually talks about the DHQ says that troops destroyed 50 IPOB camps and even killed 20. But on the flip side, you have the Biafra, the pro-Biafra group coming out to say that the enclaves that the troops are talking about are not their own, that it is not their own camp. So let's talk about insecurity and then clamping down on at least solving, if not completely obliterating it, at least ameliorating it.
It is quite sad that we have lived with insecurity for this long. Is it that those that are terrorizing us are stronger than our security agencies? Or is it that there are some bad eggs within the security apparatus that are working with these bandits to advance insecurity? I think the latter must be the answer. I remember very well when he was still alive, may his soul rest in peace, Dr. Obadiah Lafia came out to say that they have conducted their own private investigation, and they indicted a governor of the from the Northwest who has been sponsoring, equipping, aiding and abetting those actors, those underworld actors. And he was appointing an accusing finger to the governor of Kaduna State back then. One tried back then with the Obadiah Lafia's theory to interpret it to mean that the then governor of Kaduna State was behind some of those that were doing these nefarious activities, you know, in and around the north. And the accusation of Obadiah Lafia was that it was designed against one religion where he belongs to. And that was when you look at those that were captured in Dapchi, or those that were captured in southern Borno, and you find that there were more people from the Christian territory. Now, you hear of these daredevil bandits going into mosque to kidnap worshippers whose only wrong they did was they went into a mosque to pray. Question: are they still the bandits of yesterdays that was accused to be behind Christians? Or has the entire system become polarized that they are now after Muslims? One. Two, why is Kaduna State an epicenter of the whole drama? So that after Borno and Yobe, we are now talking of Kaduna, and the issue of Kaduna is a daily occurrence. It happens in such a way you think that there is no security outfit in Kaduna at all.
Presence.
So, for me, the answer lies with the government.
Okay.
The government must answer the reason why for 24 hours people will be kidnapped in a territory like Kaduna, and there is no way they can track down those children up till now. Is it a deliberate action to aid insecurity so that more budget will be given to the military to fight insecurity? Or is it a deliberate action to advance some people's political interest? This is terrifying in a country like Nigeria, that we cannot find solution to our own insecurity problem, especially for a territory like Kaduna that has all military agencies, all police agencies, everything centered in Kaduna. Yet they can't mobilize enough. The devil has even tried to get into NDA of all places inside Nigerian Defense Academy to do their nefarious activities. And up till now, there is nowhere our country has been able to track down those that are behind this thing. One is at loss to know what to comment further, because you can't say that these guys are stronger than our military. And in as much as we hear some of those people have been neutralized, this, that, see, arms seized, the notorious kidnapper caught, and all that. How is it that it's not stemming down the activities of these daredevil boys?
No,
come to talk of the Biafran issue. I have said this, and I'm repeating myself. What is happening in Southeast is a deliberate duplication of nefarious activities of criminals, whether they be of IPOB or Eastern Nigerian Network, whatever they go by. I have, from my own private investigation, discovered that some bandits that are operating in the Southeast do not understand Igbo. They speak strange foreign languages, and they are so much at home as if they are protected by external forces. I am afraid what is being reported as breaking the enclave of IPOB, I doubt it. I did say it's not true.
So is that the reason why they are coming out to say that's not our own camp?
I am not even thinking that they have touched where these activities are going on. What is happening in the South, it brings tears to my eye that someone will be kidnapped and butchered. There is also a story of human part trading that is ongoing in the Southeast. So where did they bomb? Who was kidnapped there and was set free? What human part did they find there? Because those that have escaped from there comes out to testify about the heinous activities that is ongoing and the booming market of human parts. So how come that they combed those areas and they didn't find any of these human traders, merchants? How can they parade them to us? Sorry, security men, I'm not saying that you're not doing your work, but do more. Get to the root of the matter.
All right. Let's move straight to other story, but I'd like two questions, and I'd like you to take them together. One is on insecurity, and that's on, I think I found that story on, New Telegraph says, TCN declares system sabotage as terrorists vandalize Shiroro Katampe towers. So now they're talking about the vandalization, that the recent power outage we've been experiencing in FCT is because the hoodlums vandalized the towers again. Because I remember we talked about this earlier late last month or so.
Yeah.
So now let's talk about this again, just because I'm wondering why, when I had that guest, I think it was Richard Ori that said FCT minister has the power to clamp down on these hoodlums and ensure that it doesn't happen again. But then we're back here again, despite the heat that is not even funny at all. We still have to deal with hoodlums bringing or vandalizing the towers and then putting everyone in the FCT in sheer darkness. Let's talk about this one, and then secondly, we also have two. I'd like you to take them together before we leave the show. Daily Trust says 2 months after EFCC and Presidency silent on Beta Edu and NCIPA boss. Have we gone back to like the Emefiele kind of, or the Rashid Bawa kind of story? we just touch on it and then we move and then we're not talking anything again?
Well, first of all, I remember Wike's campaign promises when he was eyeing the presidential ticket of the PDP. And a host was asking him, how are you going to handle the issue of insecurity? He said, insecurity? When they hear the name of Wike, they run. I didn't doubt him because I do know that he can be fierce, he can be Wike fire. But I still want to believe that the Wike that was brought to us in FCT wasn't the Wike
that left Rivers.
That left Rivers State.
Oh, really?
Something must have gone amiss. Something must have gone wrong. If he had come with that type of fierce personality he has, I doubt whether the issue of vandalization and so on.
Don't you think that environment has a way of changing the man also? Oh
yeah, again, you know, one of the Rivers State local government chairman even accused the governor of Rivers State of sponsoring those that are terrorizing a city so that he can bring down the name of Wike, you know, a man that looks like one that cannot even hunt a fly, you know, to take such bogus step in order to destroy the name of Wike. The truth is that we have not braced up for the challenge of the time. Okay. I do not doubt that vandals can be sponsored by those that want to bring down the government. But like they say, if men have learned to shoot without missing, the birds should learn to fly without pitching. Wike once confronted now President Tinubu during the campaign. In his visit to Rivers State, they asked him, how is your party APC going to win this president? The way you people are going, that's Wike's word. That's Wike's word. The way you people are going, it don't seem to me that you want to win this presidency. The way I also want to use his word to say the way both the presidency and Wike and all are going, it don't seem to me that they want to convince us that they are capable of governing this country.
All right. Let's quickly touch on the next story. 2 months after AFCC presidency keep mum on Betta Idus and the CPA boss.
Well, every system comes with its own, how do I put it, with its own way of doing things, way of doing business. I can't forget President Obasanjo always speaking his besties. Once the president's best friend is accused, forget it. He's not only going to mess you up, he will hand you over to EFCC by himself. But here we find from the time of President Buhari to this present president, we find dealing, treating people with that type of what the Igbo man calls akanwamune, you know, it's our own, this is our own, so we need to protect it. Someone had asked, is it that President Tinubu wants really to prosecute Emefiele, or is it just a show? We don't know how to handle the other looters, so let's handle Emefiele. So I have not seen a convincing reason to believe that they want to prosecute those corrupt people, because they're all around it.
Obadiah and Mbila, always a pleasure having this talk with you. Thank you so much for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks for having me once again. I appreciate you.
Awesome. All right, viewers, so we've been chatting with Obadiah and Mbila, who is the CEO of Lovewalk Media, and it's been a wonderful time here on The Press. I will see you again tomorrow. Have yourselves a very wonderful Monday morning, and of course, a very wonderful day today. To all those fasting, We pray that God hears all our prayers. See you again tomorrow. My name is Annabel Orji. Good morning.